when we did WOW in Karachi, which had 9,000 people come, boys and girls, men and women, it was interesting, wasn't it? It was very mixed. One of the highlights was having Sanimir there talking about being the captain of the Pakistani women's cricket team and the positive things about, and also the struggles that still exist within women's sport, within cricket in particular, within Pakistan, etc. And knowing she was coming on this tour to the UK, we molested her mercilessly, really, until she agreed to come and give some time. And I just can't tell you how precious this time is, because you've been travelling all the time. You've got to leave at 2 o'clock to whiz back for another couple of hours somewhere else. So
not somewhere else, for my match.
For your match, well, do you know? So, but what I'm saying is, this is symbolic, because it actually tells you how much it matters to that this story of women's equality is considered and told. But let's start with Sanimir, who I learnt a bit about how you learnt cricket. We'll talk about that in a minute. She's led her team to gold at the 2010 Asian Games. That was their first tournament wins in a quadrangular series in Sri Lanka, 2011. Their world's highest world ranking. Then, as a result of this success, the Pakistani Cricket Board offered contracts to its female players. You were awarded a Category A contract. Yeah. We'll talk about that too. And became, in that process, one of the first semi-professional women cricketers in Pakistan. In 2012, she became the first female cricketer to be awarded the Pakistani Medal of Excellence for services to cricket. She top scored in the historic one-run win over India in 2012 World 2020. First time any Pakistan cricket team had ever beaten India in a World Cup. That must have made you feel very smug.
And my friend here is from India.
Okay. And on Pakistan's first tour of England last July, in the 2nd of 2020, she made 31 and helped her team to the first win against England in any form of the game. So that's all pretty spectacular. I know you're currently halfway through all of this at the moment, and so we're not going to distract you by talking about how the game is going at the moment here.
Thank you. It has not been going pretty well. Yeah.
We don't know that, and we're for the purposes of this, wherever country we come from, we're all going to support Pakistan. Are we agreed? Yes. So we're all going to wish it on. But can I talk to you about, well, first of all, you yourself, how you became a woman at the top of cricket. How did that happen for you? Did you know you wanted to play cricket from an early age?
Yeah, from a very early age, I always wanted to play cricket. I was always on the streets. My father was in the army, so we used to move around a lot within Pakistan to different cities. So whenever we go to a different city, my parents were looking for a school that I can go to, and I was looking for children who I can play cricket with. So that's how it started. I used to play on the streets where there were not many grounds or academies available for women to play. So I've got an elder brother who's 9 years older to me. So we used to play on the streets with boys elder to me, and I used to play with them all the time. So my brother has been a very big support for me right from the start. And when I was around 18 years old, there were trials held by PCB, and I went up for open trials, and I got selected there. And that's when my journey in cricket started in 2005. And ever since, I've been a part of this team. And at that point, we did not earn anything out of it. We never knew that we are going to make it to a professional sport. I basically gave up my engineering education. I was in one of the best engineering schools in Pakistan. And because there was a semester system and they would not give me holidays to actually attend camps, so I was not in a team at that moment. I just left engineering and I opted for cricket. And after that, after 5 years of really hard work, we won the Asian gold medal. And then after that, everyone took cricket seriously in Pakistan, women's cricket.
Wow, so you really took a big personal risk with your life to say, right, I'm giving up engineering, I'm going to go into the cricket as like a freelance cricketer.
Freelance cricketer. At that point, even in the system, cricket came into the system under PCB in 2005, but in the system, people did not believe in women cricketers at that point. So we had to make them believe that if you're going to invest on us, we can return that investment in form of performances. So yes, all the senior players that I have got with me, we have all done this together. We have not done it. I have not done it alone. They were there to support me. And it was like 5-6 years of pure hard work. We would go and get bashing out of every big team we would play. And we would like lose more and win less. But it was a learning experience, and it was worth it in the end. Yeah.
I mean, that experience of being thrashed, humiliated, and coming back again, that's a kind of emotional stamina. Did you feel as if you'd had the sort of the training for that before you sort of became semi-professional?
Not at all.
So it was a shock.
Yeah, it was a shock, and actually because sports is not something in Pakistani culture for women. So we are actually we learn things on hand experience. Like I got an injury in 2006 because of my bowling action, and I had a stress fracture. I used to be a fast bowler and I had to become a spinner because we did not have a lot of support at that point of how your action should be. We did not have a lot of analysts, and we hardly had a physio only for the camps. So we learn from mistakes and from injuries and from losses more than anything else.
Yeah, that's very tough, actually, isn't it, to learn from injuries? But when this was happening, presumably there were sports psychologists and sports doctors and all of the usual array of experts working for the male cricket team. Is that right?
The men's only have the physios and doctors, and they are also only provided usually in camps. But for the men, because they are training in academies all the time, and women's cricket was new, and not every girl would have access to academies. So that's why we had to suffer that. But after that, like after 2005, 2006, when women's cricket came into the system, now we have got a physio on every tour. Now we can go and if there's a problem, we can go to the doctor. And actually, there are not a lot of female physios in Pakistan before, sports physios. But after having cricket getting very popular, now more females are interested to study sports physiotherapy, because before that, why they would study it in Pakistan, there was not much application of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting, isn't it? Because the unexpected consequences of following your own dream, because often we're taught that following your own dream might be a bit selfish, or sort of, why aren't you just behaving yourself and doing what everybody else does? But by not behaving yourself and not doing what everybody else does, like giving up your engineering, becoming a freelance cricketer, fighting to be something that you wanted to do, the consequences of that is that lots of other girls and women can do what they want to do, or even think of things they didn't know they wanted to do. I think that's a fascinating story. So actually you're also changing the economy for women in terms of all these other jobs that women could do.
Yes, I think so. Women cricket has got a lot of impact in Pakistan now. And it's not only the players that can benefit from. That's what I always want Pakistanis also to know. The corporates also want to know that if we develop it as a sport in Pakistan, as a culture, we can take it to schools, we can take it to colleges. And because that's the best way to grow cricket in Pakistan, especially because we don't have a lot of sporting grounds like countries like England or South Africa. I've visited every country. There's a sports ground at every corner of the road. We don't have that. So we can use schools and colleges as cricket centers, sports centers back home. And that's how, there's so much we can do regarding sports is concerned, because it's like a clean canvas. You can start from the scratch. There's not much development before this.
What impact has women's cricket success had on other sports that women can then do in Pakistan?
I've met a lot of girls from football, from hockey, from athletics, and it's easier for those girls now also to get permission to follow sports in Pakistan. Success of women's cricket is basically a hope for every athlete in Pakistan, female athlete in Pakistan, that if they can achieve this, so can we.
Yeah.
So it's more kind of that thing for all the people there.
And so you also, and you and your female colleagues becoming heroes, heroines, that obviously makes you role models. Does it make it easier for the parents to think, well, maybe this is respectable after all, maybe it's okay?
Actually, all of us who are sitting, I'm sitting here, or all the other girls who have made it to cricket, it's because of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
It was my father who said that we have got a lot of female engineers, but not a lot of female cricketers. So we could not have done it without them.
Yeah. Yes. You told me that actually because your father was in the army, is that
Yeah.
right? You were able to take advantage of lots of spaces where you could practice. There was not outdoors, not public spaces too much, because actually sometimes girls got harassed in public spaces.
Yeah, basically we lived in cantonment areas, so they are more protected than any other uh, like environment in Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky in that sense. But that's what I'm talking about. Because we don't have sports in the system, that's why the families play a major role. That's why there's an advert in Pakistan these days about Ramzan, about a phone company. But the slight thing that I don't agree with is that it shows that the father was not willing and the daughter just go out there and did it. It's not like that. It's the wrong story. We are all here because our fathers were supportive.
Well, actually, this is a very important story. In my experience, many of the girls and women who've succeeded have done so because their dads have gone, no, you can do this. Because actually, if you get endorsed by your dad, because, it feels like you have to have a man's permission sometimes, then you feel much more encouraged. And a lot of people whose dads have been discouraging have found it much harder to have the confidence. So I don't think it's the same that all dads encourage all girls. That's not true, is it?
But like if I talk about my team, I've been living with these girls for the last 7-8 years. Most of 99% of the fathers are it's because of the fathers and the mothers and the brothers that we are here.
So we need to get more messages out to more dads, really, to realise just how critical they are. What is interesting as well is that, starting off because you wanted to play cricket, ending up becoming the captain of the team, and then more than that, ending up in a way being a representative of your country and of sport for women in your country and across the world, changes your sense of, I suppose, your own life, doesn't it? I mean, you've become a leader of thinking around women's sport.
Yes, for the last 2-3 years, this transition has come into, because now women's cricket is getting more popularity, so my voice is heard more than a lot of other people. So I'm very fortunate in that sense that we have that now. We have that voice in Pakistan that we can, and I'm really happy to speak about for everyone, because how I see sports and the problems in Pakistan sports is that when we see the men's team as well, there are a lot of things happening there. And it's because we are not developing other sports simultaneously. So there's saturation in one sport. And that's why all the problems are coming in. Everyone just want to be a cricketer, unlike other countries, where at times you have to convince them to come into cricket.
Yes, yes.
There are countries, big countries, who are going and doing marketing that young girls can come to one sport. But in Pakistan, everyone wants to be a cricketer. That's the market there, and we are not using it. And one reason is that we are not developing other sports as well. So it's as important to develop other sports, cricket, sports in general. So we can have heroes in every field, not just one field.
We had a conversation about training. Well, actually, before we get to that, are you paid the same as men yet?
Not at all.
I mean, what's the discrepancy?
I think it must be 1/10 of what they're getting. Yeah.
But, I don't think that we have equal wages in this country either. So, this is the thing. I haven't been to one country in the world yet, not one, not even Norway or Sweden, where gender pay across the board is just given as an equal thing. That's not true. So are you fighting for equal pay, or is that not on the agenda at the moment?
Not at the moment. I would say that for me, the most important thing is the structure and facilities we put in. Because if we, at the moment, I fight for equal pays, it would benefit 20 girls, because only 21 girls are contracted by PCB. But if we fight for structures and sports, if we take sports in schools and colleges, then a lot more can benefit. So for me, at this point, what's most important, the number one issue is to have that structure, have that basically structure in place for women who want to take up sports at a very smaller age.
What would that look like, that structure? What's the structure you want to achieve?
What I personally think is we need to make schools and colleges center for sports, because of the culture. In how I understand Pakistan is, parents are more willing to send their daughters for an extra couple of hours to a school or a college, and they can spend that time and practice in a safe locality rather than sending them to grounds and where they don't know people.
Right.
So that's something, that's the first step we can do. That's how we can just build the confidence with the parents. And another thing that is very important is having child protection courses made compulsory for every coach and manager that is dealing with either boys or girls in Pakistan. Because I've talked with a lot of people in England. No coach can practice with kids if they don't refresh the course, the child protection course, after every 2 years or 3 years. It doesn't happen in Pakistan. So sports for me can help educate people how to handle children, and children would get to know their rights. So this is something we can achieve so much from, because cricket is so much like everyone in Pakistan just loves cricket. So this is something we can bring change throughout the country.
Yes, we talked about this issue of sports coaching, didn't we, and the child protection, and we've had a lot of issues recently. We've just had a big scandal actually around women cycling, and the fact that the coaches have been accused of a sort of sexist behaviour, inappropriate behaviour, and there's a kind of investigation into this at the moment. But this all relates to whether or not women are taken seriously as athletes, and also whether women are taken seriously, full stop. Do you think that, are there a lot of discussions about respecting women's rights to be professional in Pakistan? Is that happening more and more?
Yes, I think so. I think there are a lot of women in every field in Pakistan.
Yeah.
We have got doctors, politicians, fighter pilots, we have got mountaineers. So we've got a lot of women out there. We just need to listen to their stories more. We need to discuss about them more. And yes, there are different experiences. There are women who do not get these opportunities. But I think there are stories that they are very positive stories out of Pakistan that do not reach general public internationally. So we also need to work on that.
Yeah.
And yes, I have been very fortunate to be in a family that produced strong women, whether they were homemakers or doctors or teachers. So I'm the first cricketer, but there had been very strong women in my own family.
Yes. No, I think that's a really important point. Just, being on the world stage or in the world of business or in the world of the arts per se isn't better than being a great mum or, a great teacher or whatever. So, and I think that what we need to feel, though, is that nobody's first job is at home. There just should be a lot more choices. Now, I've got a lot of people in the room, and some of the young people in the room actually wrote specifically to say, I want to come and hear this conversation because it relates to me so particularly. And I'm just going to pick out a few from Notre Dame to begin with. So who from Notre Dame, because I know you wrote letters to say that you ought to come and listen to this because you've got something to say. Who's going to, have we got a microphone? Yeah?
Is the rugby star not interested?
Where's the would you mind standing up and introducing yourself? And thank you very much for me volunteering you.
In your career, did you get to play cricket with boys?
Before I became an international cricketer, that was all I would do, because I would never find a girl who wanted to play cricket around me. So that was the only way I would play cricket with boys. And once PCB, our Pakistan Cricket Board, they shortlisted 30 players out of Pakistan. And we wanted to do a tour next. So we did not know who to play now, because there were hardly 25 girls who wanted to play cricket. Now who's going to play opposite them? So then PCB arranged for us under 16 boys, under 15 boys. So we used to play with them. So even now, when we are coming to play teams like England, who have thrashed us in this series, so we do play bigger boys. We do play with them. So we get good competition before coming to places like England, New Zealand, or Australia. So yes, we do. We still do play with them.
My name is Saffron and I go to Notre Dame. I wrote a letter to Miss Moriarty because I felt I should listen to Sanemia, because I play rugby with boys and sometimes I feel intimidated because not a lot of women are in the sports department, so I feel like I'm the only one. So I thought listening to you will boost my confidence when I'm playing sports.
First of all, just trust me, if you feel intimidated, everyone does. It's not only you, everyone does. At times I've felt afraid, I've felt intimidated. But what's important is that you don't stop showing up. And what's important is I had an elder brother who would accompany me at that point. And there was another thing that happened to me. I started Taekwondo at a very early age, so I knew how to defend myself. And actually that gave me a lot of confidence that if someone is going to do some naughty thing or anything, so I can defend myself. So you can try some kickboxing or something like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
What was the most thing that inspired you, for sports? What was the most thing? Was it your teachers or something? Because mine was my teacher.
Yours was your teacher. What's your name, by the way?
Gule.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I think cricket itself was a very inspiring thing for me, because it's a sport where you can achieve things together. It's something that brings people closer. So it was a way for me to meet different people in different cities that we had to move around, because leaving friends in one city and then moving to another city, making new friends, it can become difficult. So through cricket, I would always find new friends. So that was the first thing, I think, the human connection I got out of it. And I think along the way, again, I would say my team, the girls, their stories. I come from a family who has been very supportive. But I've seen the girls who come from a very, very struggling family, and the way the cricket has changed them. So I just want to push it more and more so we can change more lives through cricket.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Zara Shah. As you mentioned, I'm from the British Pakistan Foundation. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Sanamir. She's such an inspirational person.
Thank you so much.
And being of Pakistani origin, you're amazing. What is that one single thing, one single initiative, either at the government level or socially with companies or people, that would help you the most, yours personally and the women's cricket team as a whole?
I would say, again, say that we need to put structures in, we need to have better grounds. We have only one ground dedicated for women's cricket. We are still not functioning. We have been playing cricket for now 10, 11 years under PCB and 10 years before that privately. But we don't have a proper exclusive ground for women. So we need to set up a cricket academy like for men, if someone wants to go and train. So I think schools, colleges, we need to put structures. We need to make cricket a part of daily routine. That's what we need to do. International matches, if you just think about the Pakistan team, more international matches would help. More funding for the reserve players would help. We are just struggling with the same 20-25 players, and we are rotating them because we don't have enough reserve bank for us, because we do not have budget for sending the A team or the development squad to different countries like other countries do. So there's a lot we can do, but I think the first thing is this: putting structures, having grounds, having all the young girls access to gymnasiums and fields easy. So that's something we all need to do.
Thank you.
So basically, my situation is a bit unique because I'm obviously trying to be an artist and a poet as well as trying to do sports. But through my education, I went to a faith school and I was not encouraged to do either. And I'm 26 now and both are still in my life. So for me, I guess what I'm trying to say, as well as that, I wear a hijab and we don't have anyone on TV that comes on our screens wearing hijab. And so the younger girls, even as a child, like I never had someone to aspire to because I never saw someone with hijab on the TV. So I guess what I'm trying to say now is how do we encourage schools and the Muslim population who do wear scarves? And how do we get our stories told? Like this is more like to the floor as well. How do we get our story told so that we can encourage other girls out there?
Yes. Okay, well, there's some people who want to answer that question over there. 2 people over here want to talk about that.
Thanks for that really good question. So I think we tell our stories. That's what we do. We don't need people to tell stories. We don't need people to talk for us. We can talk for ourselves. And I think that we need to start telling our stories, telling our narratives. You say you're a poet, you're a writer, so you're doing that already. But I think things are changing, and we have a lot of allies. And I think more than any other time, because of everything that's going on in our country, we need to reach out to people, and we need to come together, and we need to see where we don't have as many differences as perhaps we think. I mean, there is a lot of hostility out there. I'm not suggesting there isn't, but I think that people do want to hear stories. I'm a journalist. I wear a hijab. I made a documentary for the BBC last year about racism and xenophobia in France. I spend a lot of time doing, lots of public work. My hijab has never stopped me, and I've actually found that people are more, they actually want to hear what I have to say. Because I'm putting myself out there. And I think it goes back to the issue of confidence. And it's what you said earlier, Sana, don't think that no one feels intimidated. Everyone feels intimidated at some point, but we just have to keep going. But, I think the most important thing is that we own our narratives and we need to start telling our stories.
It's a real pleasure to meet you. My name's Michelle Moore. I'm a sports and equality consultant. And just in response to some of the discussion, I think fundamentally what happens when we have people of colour, women of colour who are amazing role models, it kind of shines a light in terms of the need for more and more of them. And it's a real privilege to be in your space and hear your inspiring story. And to the BBC, and I've worked with Shelley, and they are trying their best. But unfortunately, the institutions in this country are inherently institutionally racist. So when that happens, the people actually behind the cameras in the positions of power within those organisations are not from diverse communities, and so therefore we have a systemic system that needs to be broken down. And so when we have fantastic contributions like we've heard today from women of colour, from different faiths, it's really important that we network and we connect as much as possible. And I use my own power, as limited as it might be in my own sphere of influence, to nominate as many people as I can of colour for every single award going, because they're often doing amazing, phenomenal jobs and works and have a great talent. So please come and see me today as well, for those people that have spoken. And I just wanted to ask you, Sania, because I think what you're talking about is really important, especially when I'm really interested in athletes as they transition into retirement. Not that you're going to retire, not that I don't want to say that at all, but the idea that you've sacrificed your education for your sport is something that kind of makes me feel a bit sad. And I think that when Jude talked about your teammate and how she's been able to kind of manage all of her education as well as her sporting talent and achieve, I think that's really, really important, because often they actually say that when athletes retire, they say that athletes die twice. They die once they retire, and then they die when they really die.
And every time you lose, you die.
I wasn't going to mention that. And so I'm really interested in how we can better support athletes and what some of your thoughts are around that.
Yeah, I think it's a very sensitive question, and it's something that not many people think about, because not only we give our time, but we give our health. Because once you want to compete at the international level, you have to do things that normal people won't do to their bodies. So you train harder, you put yourself under a lot of stress. So after, at times, especially in Pakistan, when I see, so when a player gets injured, at times they're dropped and then they're not looked after so well. So once, if I've got a lot of money and sponsorships, I can do a rehab center. But otherwise, it's very important. Like for myself, I see myself after not after, when I'm done with my playing days, I would definitely like to work with cricket and take this cause forward in administration or any other role possible. And for that, PCB, the Pakistan Cricket Board, has already offered me that whenever I want to leave, that they want to have me on board. So for me, they have a plan, but for other players, they still struggle. So on my behalf, whatever I can do, I definitely encourage them to study. We have always, the senior players, we make the juniors sit and study and do their bachelors. Actually, we do that. We help them with their studies as well whenever we have off time. And most of the girls at the moment who are playing, they are educated. Most of them have done their bachelors, doing their masters. So as a team, we put a lot of stress on that. So they don't have to struggle as the men are struggling at the moment. So we want to learn from that and do that.
But the things I wanted to really achieve today, and I think we have, is tell you really what a fantastic person Sana is. She's somebody who is working on all our behalf. It isn't just about Pakistan. I wanted to say Pakistan is an amazing place, full of spirit and achievement and talent and vitality. It's not all about what the bad news is, and mustn't be about that. And also, for the purposes of the young women in the room, make you aware of the fact that it's never too early to become active about the things you want to do for yourself. And fighting for your own rights will make it possible for somebody else's rights to be achieved as well. So I think if it's okay, we've all agreed to be Pakistani for the purposes of the rest of the team's support while they're here. And we don't want you to be thrashed. But if you are,
we came better in the last match, so I'm very hopeful for today's match.
But you've obviously got the character that will see it through whatever. Can I thank you very much for being here?